Hello everybody, welcome back to another Mortals of Fish video, and I do making that Bed Wars content almost daily, so make sure to like and subscribe for consistent Bed Wars content. That said, I do know I missed yesterday, and today is a rather late upload, but you know, real life happens. But anyways, with that, we are obviously talking about the Jade kit. I did recently hit level 30 on my battle pass, which means, you know, I can try that kit and dig up some pros and some cons on it, which is typically my factual statements about the kit, things that nobody can really argue against because it's just what the kit does. And then at the end of the video, after we get through the pros and cons and stuff and just talking over the kit, we'll go into my opinion on whether the kit's worth your time or not. Obviously, it's my opinion, so you can disagree. But yeah, I mean, let's hop into today's video. Okay, so as we're hopping here into some Jade gameplay, we're going to start off with our 5 pros, and then we're going to balance those 5 pros with some 5 cons that I've come up with. Make sure to let me know any other pros and cons of the kit that you guys personally feel exist in the comments below. I always read through them, whether I reply or not. There's a lot of comments anymore these days, so I try to read as much of them and reply to as many of them can, but obviously it's a bit too much at this point. That said, the first pro we got is you can yeet people in the air, and I mean yeet people in the air. You can actually, if you use the hammer and you don't animation cancel, you can slam the ground and obviously it yeets them in there. That's the whole point of the kit in reality. The whole canceling animation. So if you want to cancel animation on the hammer, let's just talk about that before we get any further in this video. So basically what you'll do is you'll use your hammer, and then mid-leap you're going to swap to a sword or something, so then you start chopping. And if you're fast enough with it, then it actually won't knock anybody in the air, and basically all it does is work as like a leap forward kind of ability, which is good for getting around really quick, you know. So yeah, you can yeet people in the air if you want. To be honest, though, I don't think this is the ideal way to use this kit. Maybe yeeting people in the air is good at certain situations, but it's not, in my opinion, the best for everything. So yeah, anyways, the second pro to this kit is it has really fast mobility. And what I mean by this is when you use the hammer, it kind of yeets you forward and it turbo speeds you faster than anybody else can go. Maybe like a Reaper eating a soul would catch up to you, but yeah, this is continuously be able to be used over and over. There's a cooldown on it, but I think the cooldown is just a few seconds. But yeah, basically this is essentially the fastest kit in the game right now using this hammer to leap, and so yeah, it has good mobility, which is super nice. And then the next one, our third pro falls under that mobility. You can hunt people down with this. So if you have your hammer on you, you can just slam forward, pull out your sword mid-jump, start chopping them up, and basically nobody can actually get away from you unless they have something like balloons, pearls, or I don't know, maybe they have an auto clicker build and they go 20 blocks high. Those are about the only like 3 situations people get away from you with Jade if you have your hammer, because you're just gonna hunt everybody down and kill them. That brings us into our 4th pro, and this obviously revolves around the mobility again, and that is that you can escape easily. So just the same way you hunt people, you can obviously use that same method to get in and out of fights. So that's super useful. People can be trying to hunt you down, or maybe you get in, you get the bed, but you've been hit a few times while mining the bed, so you need to get out. Well, you can just use your hammer and get yourself out of that fight. And that's going to take us into our 5th pro, and that is you can out-rotate people. Obviously, this is back down the same trail of using our mobility. But yes, with this kit, you can out-rotate people. And what I mean by this is where, like, maybe you leap through them, and then you just outrun them, and you continue to run through them. Or maybe you lure them away from their base, and then you start using your Jade Hammer to make a loop, and they keep chasing you the whole time. You'll end up just outrunning them, and then sometimes you can actually loop people out of their base and then get their bed. I had that happen a few times for me. So yeah, the mobility is super solid. That's basically the biggest pro you're getting with this kit. Sure, you can knock people in the air, which has some small uses, but to me, the strongest part about this kit is just the fact that it can move so quickly around the map because of the hammer. And that said, now let's balance out some of those pros with the cons of this kit, things that this kit feels a little lackluster at. First off, the hammer costs a lot because, and I say this, so I know it's only 40 iron. It's only 40 iron, which is pretty cheap late game, but when you consider things like early game, 40 iron is a little bit expensive, you know. You gotta, typically how I get my hammers, I rush to leather and stone sword, and then I rush in an enemy base and I take them out, and then I get my 40 iron for a hammer there. But yeah, 40 iron can be a bit expensive in the early game, so just keep a note that the hammer is a little expensive. I feel like 20 iron or 30 iron would probably be a better price range, but maybe then she would dominate way too much early game because that'd be a pretty cheap hammer. But yeah, anyways, into the second con here, we got feels weaker late game. So the hammer feels weak late game, and I say this mainly due to the fact that people get pearls, balloons, and so it's no longer a trusty hunting down hammer, it's more so just a movement speed item, so you can get a little bit of a yeet speed here and there. So the third con is not that great unless you outgear people. Now this is only on the con list because I feel like the hammer is really mainly used for hunting people down. And if you're not really able to hunt people down if you're clearly outgeared and they're just going to beat you in every sword fight, because obviously this is meant to close gaps. Yeah, if you're closing gaps and not doing the damage, then you know is a bit pointless. Am I right? And that's going to take us into our fourth con, and that is hammer can kill you. So sometimes you get a little overconfident in the hammer. You think you understand how far it's going to yeet you forward or so on, and so you make a jump and maybe you miss, or sometimes you overshot it. You overshoot the jump where you planned on landing, like especially if you're trying to like yeet onto bridges or something, you know, like something that's real thin. This happens a lot. So yeah, I think with over time that if you learn this kit better, it could even get even stronger with knowing the exact leap range you have, which now to max out the jump range, in case any of you are curious, I went and tested in a custom game. You're not going to see that gameplay here. But if you actually jump off a bridge, and then right before you fall below a block, you hit your hammer, you can actually make a 12 block gap, like 12 whole block jump. Normally you can jump about 3 or 4 normally, so her hammer is going to help give you like 8 or 9 extra blocks that you can jump across. That's super nice. So yeah, maybe you just want to know that. And that brings us into our fifth con here, and that is going to be that I think the kit is kind of high skill capped. I mean, like if you're not going to animation cancel, and every time you use your hammer you have to re-hit the sprint button, so it's really like micromanaging. You got to like hammer, re-sprint, you know, and you're always rotating in and out. You got to make sure you're getting in a fight, out of fight, in a fight, out of fight, and I don't know, you got to be real on top of things for the most part, and if you're not, I feel like the kit's going to fall off some. So yeah, I think it's a bit of a higher skill cap kit if you want to play it really well. Now that the pros and cons are out of the way, maybe I've helped you decide whether it's worth your time or not. We're going to hop into the opinion portion of this video where I tell you guys my opinion on whether I think it's worth your time or not, and personally how I feel about the kit. So yeah, starting that off, we're just going to do this over some more gameplay here because I got some extra gameplay, and you know, that's more entertaining than me sitting in a lobby. So if I can avoid sitting in a lobby talking to you, you betcha I'm going to do that. Anyways, so is the kit worth it? Hands down, just right off the start here, I'd say yes. I mean, it's free. All you gotta do is spend some time, maybe just doing your daily missions, doing your weeklies, and you're gonna get this free kit. And to be honest, right now, with my current feelings on this kit, is probably one of the kits I'm gonna play more. This kit, Reaper, and Barbarian now are 3 offense kits I'd very be happy to play. The mobility of this kit, you just can't go wrong with that. Being faster than other players is just good. Like, there's nowhere that's a downfall. I mean, it's 40 iron, and now when you die, you don't lose your hammer because they updated that. So I don't think you can go wrong with just wanting to be faster and have a more mobile kit. But yeah, with that said, I'd like to take a moment to shout out our members for the end of the video. So thanks, Mom Peace, for being a member of the channel. And on that note, guys, my name's Immortal Jellyfish, and I will see you all in the next video or stream. Thanks for watching. Peace out.